The lights of Los Angeles shimmered over a packed arena as thousands of fans waited for the moment the bell would ring. The energy inside the building felt electric, the kind of atmosphere that only championship boxing can create. Flags waved, cameras flashed, and the roar of the crowd echoed through the rafters as the fighters made their way to the ring. In the center of it all stood the undefeated IBF Bantamweight champion, Leo Santa Cruz, a fighter known for relentless pressure and a punching output that few in the sport could match. Nicknamed Terremoto, meaning earthquake, Santa Cruz had built a reputation for shaking opponents with endless combinations and punishing body shots. Across the ring stood the challenger, Victor Zaleta, a determined warrior from Mexico who had traveled north with one dream: to shock the world and leave with the championship. Zaleta wasn't the favorite, but he carried the quiet confidence of a fighter who had nothing to lose and everything to gain. For him, this was the biggest opportunity of his career, the kind of moment fighters train their entire lives to reach. When the referee called both men to the center of the ring, the tension was almost tangible. Gloves touched briefly, an unspoken sign of respect before the storm. Then the bell rang. The opening moments were explosive. Santa Cruz immediately began pressing forward, firing his trademark combinations. Jabs snapped through the air, followed by hooks and uppercuts aimed at both head and body. But Zaleta refused to back down. Standing his ground, he fired sharp counters, trying to disrupt the champion's rhythm. The crowd erupted as the two fighters traded punches in the opening exchanges, setting the tone for what was quickly becoming an action-packed battle. From the very first round, it was clear: this fight was going to be fast, furious, and unforgettable. As the fight moved deeper into the early rounds, Santa Cruz began to settle into the rhythm that had made him one of the most feared pressure fighters in the division. His feet stayed constantly in motion, cutting off the ring and forcing Zaleta closer to the ropes. Every step forward came with punches, jabs snapping like whips and combinations flowing effortlessly from his shoulders. Zaleta, however, refused to be overwhelmed. Pinned against the ropes at times, the challenger dug deep and fought back on the inside. He slipped in a few sharp uppercuts, catching the champion during close exchanges. Each time he landed something clean, the crowd responded with a surge of excitement. For a moment, it looked as if Zaleta might be able to slow the champion's momentum. But Santa Cruz had another gear. The champion began digging vicious hooks to the body, targeting Zaleta's ribs with precision. It was a classic strategy: break the opponent down slowly, round by round. Left hooks thudded into the midsection. Short right hands followed upstairs. The combinations came in waves, sometimes 5 or 6 punches at a time. Zaleta showed incredible toughness. Even when backed into a corner, he answered with punches of his own. But the difference in volume was becoming clear. Santa Cruz was simply throwing and landing far more punches. The pressure never stopped. Every time Zaleta tried to reset, Santa Cruz was already in front of him again, launching another attack. The champion's work rate began to wear down the challenger, and the pace of the fight was exactly where Santa Cruz wanted it. By the end of the early rounds, the message was becoming obvious. Zaleta had heart, but Santa Cruz had momentum, and the storm was only beginning. As the fight entered the middle rounds, Santa Cruz began tightening the screws. His punches were no longer just fast, they were strategic. The champion had identified his target, and he kept returning to it with ruthless efficiency. The body. Each time Zaleta's guard rose to protect his head, Santa Cruz dug a hook deep into the ribs. The thudding sound of those punches echoed around the arena. It was a slow, grinding attack designed to drain the challenger's energy. And it was working. Zaleta still fought bravely, throwing counters whenever the champion stepped too close. At times he even managed to land a right hand that caught Santa Cruz's attention. But every success was quickly answered by another relentless barrage from the champion. Then came the moment that shifted the entire fight. Santa Cruz feinted upstairs with a jab. Zaleta reacted instantly, bringing his guard up high. That split second was all the champion needed. Santa Cruz ripped a devastating left hook to the body. Zaleta froze for a moment, his expression changing instantly. The punch had landed perfectly. A wave of pain surged through him as he tried to stay upright. But his legs betrayed him. Slowly, the challenger dropped to one knee. The crowd erupted. It was a signature punch from Santa Cruz, the same body shot that had broken so many opponents before. Zaleta struggled back to his feet before the referee's count reached 10, showing incredible determination to continue. The bell rang soon after, giving the challenger a chance to recover. But the damage had been done. From that moment forward, the champion could sense the finish approaching. Despite the knockdown, Zaleta refused to surrender. As the fight continued, he came forward once again, showing the heart of a true warrior. In the next rounds, he threw everything he had left, landing occasional right hands and uppercuts that reminded the champion he was still dangerous. For brief moments, Zaleta even managed to push Santa Cruz backward. The crowd appreciated the courage. But Santa Cruz remained composed. Behind a tight guard, he absorbed the punches and immediately returned fire with combinations. His ability to maintain such an intense pace was remarkable. Even deep into the fight, his hands kept moving like pistons. The champion mixed his attack beautifully. He jabbed upstairs to keep Zaleta's guard occupied, then ripped hooks to the body. Uppercuts followed whenever the challenger leaned forward. It was a masterclass in pressure fighting. And then, in the 7th round, the pressure finally broke through again. Santa Cruz unleashed a blistering 4-punch combination. Left hook, right hand, uppercut, another hook. The final punch snapped Zaleta's head back. Moments later, another combination crashed through his defense, and the challenger collapsed to the canvas once more. The arena erupted as the referee began counting again. Zaleta slowly rose to his feet, his face showing both exhaustion and determination. Somehow, he managed to survive the remainder of the round, even throwing punches in the closing seconds. It was a display of pure toughness. But the champion was closing in. The relentless pressure of Santa Cruz was beginning to feel unstoppable. By the time the fight reached the later rounds, the pace had taken a heavy toll on the challenger. Zaleta's body showed the effects of the punishment he had endured. His punches were slower now, and his movement more limited. But the champion remained relentless. Santa Cruz continued to stalk forward, cutting off the ring and unleashing combination after combination. His punches came from every angle, hooks, uppercuts, straight shots, all thrown with the same relentless rhythm. The numbers told the story. Santa Cruz had already landed over 100 body punches, a staggering statistic that showed just how thoroughly he had broken down his opponent. Zaleta still fought back bravely, refusing to go quietly. But every time he tried to mount an attack, the champion answered with another storm of punches. Then the final moment arrived. Santa Cruz stepped in with a powerful overhand right, followed instantly by a crushing hook. Zaleta staggered backward, his legs barely holding him upright. The champion sensed the end. He unleashed another furious combination, punches flying in rapid succession. The final shot landed clean. Zaleta collapsed to the canvas for the 3rd time. This time, the referee had seen enough. He stepped between the fighters and waved the fight off. The crowd exploded as the arena announcer confirmed the result. At 1 minute and 42 seconds of round 9, the winner by technical knockout, and still the undefeated IBF Bantamweight champion of the world, Leo Santa Cruz. It was another spectacular performance from the relentless champion, a display of skill, endurance, and heart that reminded the boxing world exactly why Santa Cruz was one of the most exciting fighters in the sport.